Hey everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to make a necklace today, and I'm going to use some of the contents of the May 2023 Sam's bead box that was gifted to me by my sweet friend Kara. In here I've got the check glass fire polish faceted round beads. They're 8mm, and lavender amethyst / gold is the color. In here I've got the check glass fire polish faceted round beads. They're 4mm, and lavender amethyst is the color. And here I've got the candy jade faceted cube beads. They're 7.5mm, and it was a mixture of dyed purple and blue, and I've got the purple ones here. And here I've got some 6mm fire polish beads from my stash. These are like a purple iris, I think. And here I've got some findings. I've got a lobster clasp, a couple of pieces of paperclip chain that I got from BB Craft, and then another little piece of the same chain that I'm going to use as an extender. I've got a ball head pin, and the last of these little cube beads that I had, I'm going to use that to hang off the extender chain as a dangle. I've got 2 wire guards and 2x2 crimp tubes and some jump rings. I've got my Miyuki 11.0 Durcoat galvanized champagne seed beads that I'm going to use as spacers. This is one of the candy jade pear briolettes that came in the box. There was a purple and a blue one, and they're 16 by 26mm, and this is of course the purple one. And this is the extent to which I will go not to have to wire wrap a briolette. I am not good at wire wrapping briolettes. I can get it done, usually after several failed attempts, but I'm not good at it, and I don't enjoy the process, and I enjoy bezeling things. So I just decided to bezel it and put a little herringbone bail on it there. So I bezeled it with some sort of light purple delicas and some galvanized champagne delicas, and then on the inner part here are some 15.0 galvanized champagne beads, round beads, and some, I don't know if you can see because they're very dark, but there's some purple iris 15.0s on the inside here. And then I did a little herringbone bail, and it's the same on both sides, so if it flips around it'll still look the same on both sides. So that is the extent to which I will go not to wire wrap a briolet. I'm terrible, I know. I'm going to be using my soft flex beading wire and fine. This is champagne, but you can use whatever bead string wire you have. I've got my bead stoppers. I've got my chain nose pliers, my tweezer pliers, and my round nose pliers. I've got both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers. I've got both pairs of my crimping pliers. I use this pair to crimp, and I use this pair to the little half circles on the end to tuck in the burrs when I cut off wire. I've got both pairs of my cutters. I use one pair for bead stringing wire and the other pair for head pins and eye pins and craft wire. And I've got my little New Orleans shot glass to put my wires in when I cut them off. A lot of these tools I'll just use when I make the dangle to go on the extender chain. And I'll try to put links to everything I'm using except, of course, the beads, because they all most all of them came from the Sam's box, except for these that I had in my stash. But I'll try to put links to everything else in the description box below. So hold on, I'll pour out some of my beads and I'll be back. I'm going to string this now, and I was going to say I would have put a pinch bail on this like I did that blue one when I made that blue necklace, but I wanted to do it in gold, and I didn't have any gold pinch bails. And like I said, I enjoy bezeling things anyway. So I'm going to start with a 4mm bead and do an 11.0, and then a 6mm bead from my stash, and an 11.0, another 6mm bead, and an 11.0, another 6mm bead, and an 11.0. Then I'm going to do a 4mm bead, and an 11.0, and then a cube bead, and an 11/0, and a 4mm bead, and an 11/0, and an 8mm fire polish bead, and an 11/0, 8mm fire polish bead, and an 11/0, an 8mm fire polish bead, and an 11/0, a 4mm fire polish bead, an 11/0, and a cube bead, and an 11/0, 4mm bead, 11/0, an 8mm bead, and 11/0. I enjoy using 11/0s as spacers. Even if you don't use them for seed beading, they make really good spacers. Now I'm going to do a 4mm bead, and an 11/0. No, that's not right. I got distracted because I was talking about seed beads. Doesn't take much to get me distracted. I want another 8mm bead here, and an 11/0, and another 8mm bead, and an 11/0. Now I want a 4mm bead, and an 11/0, and a cube bead, and an 11/0, a 4mm bead, and an 11/0. Now I'm going to do a 6mm bead, and an 11/0, and a 6mm bead, and an 11/0, a 6mm bead. Now I'm going to put on my pendant. Now I'm going to do a 6mm bead, and an 11/0, and a 6mm bead, and an 11/0. It's amazing how much you wouldn't think with these little 11/0s because they're so small, but they do add some length to a piece too if you need it. Now another 6mm bead, and an 11/0, and now a 4mm bead, and an 11/0, and now an 8mm, now a cube bead, and an 11/0, and now a 4mm bead, and an 11/0, and now an 8mm bead, and an 11/0, an 8mm bead, and an 11/0, 8mm bead, and an 11/0, and a 4mm bead, and an 11/0, and then see what's next. I got lost. Cube bead. And an 11/0. And a 4mm bead. And an 11/0. And then an 8mm bead. And an 11/0. 8mm bead. And an 11/0. 8mm bead. And an 11/0. 4mm bead. 11/0. Cube bead. 11/0. 4mm bead. And 11/0. 6mm bead. 11/0. 6mm bead. 11/0. 6mm bead. 11/0. And a 4mm bead. So that's what I've got. Now I'm going to get my crimp beads and wire guards and crimp it, so I'll be back. Okay, so now I'm going to crimp. I'll take my crimp tube, my wire guard in, come back down the other channel of my wire guard in, back through my crimp tube, I'm going to take my little wire guard in a little bit, pull my wire through, make sure my wires are not crossed, and hold my wire apart. Now I'm going to go on that part there that has the tooth. I'm going to lay my tooth on top of my crimp tube. Squeeze. And that puts each little wire in its own little channel there. Now there's 3 circular parts up here at the top. I'm going to go in the middle one because that's the one for the 2x2 crimp tubes. I'll lay my crimp in there. Squeeze. Oops. Now I'm going to go down to the next one that's for the 1mm crimp tubes. And squeeze in. Just to tighten it up a little bit. It's wanting to slip on me today. I think it's alright. I don't think I need to do that, but I always just do just for a little extra security, and I don't know why. Maybe it's as tight as it wants to be. You don't want to be any tighter. It says leave me alone. I don't want to be any tighter. Tug here. Yeah, that's good. It's not going anywhere. Now I'm going to cut off my extra wire. Now I'm going to push this down here and cut my wire off my spool. Take my other crimp tube, my other wire guardian, back down the other channel of my wire guardian, back through my crimp tube. And I always try to go through a bead on, at least a bead on this side to get my hands out of the way. It can be harder to do this on this side with the beads all in the way and everything. I'm going to pull my wire through, make sure my wires are not crossed. I'm going to tuck my little wire guardian in here a little bit. Now I want to make sure there's no slack in my piece. But I don't want it to be too tight either. A good way to do that is to make sure it's not laying straight when you crimp it. Now I'm going to go on that part with the tooth again. Put my tooth on top. Squeeze. Now I'm going to go into that second part with the second part of the circular ones again. Squeeze. And then go down to the next one. Squeeze. Didn't give me any trouble on this side. This is usually the side that gives me the most trouble. I'm going to tug. That's good. So now I'm going to cut off my extra wire. So that's what I've got now. So now I'm going to get my findings and I'll put them on. Hold on. Okay, I've got a couple of pieces of my paper clip chain here. They're about 3 inches each. And I'm going to take a jump ring. Put one side of my necklace on. And my chain. Make sure to get my jump ring closed up really well. Do the same thing on this side. These are 6mm jump rings. Close my jump ring up. And now I'm going to take another 6mm jump ring. Open it up. Put this end of my chain on. And my lobster clasp. Close my jump ring back really well. Now I'm going to take an 8mm jump ring. Put this side on, and I got a little, this is about 1.5 inches of the extent of the paper clip chain I'm using as an extender. So that's what I've got now. So now I'm going to get my head pin and my cute bead, and I'll make a little dangle to go on this extender chain. Hold on. Okay, I've got a ball head pin here. Of course, you don't have to use a ball head pin. You can use whatever kind of head pin you want. I'll put my cute bead on here. Take my pliers. Go to the tip of the pliers. Bend at a 90-degree angle over the tool. Around those pliers in the crook of the bend, around those pliers facing me, bend the wire back until it hits the bead, rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, hold on tight, take this part up and under here until it hits the bottom of the tool, cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead, take my bent chain nose plier, nope, first I'm going to open my loop, I almost forgot again, I forget this all the time. I'm going to put my chain on here. Now I'm going to close back my loop. Then I'm going to try to hold my chain back. Hold on to my loop. Bring my wire down here till it's at a 90-degree angle. Take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. Make sure to get that first wrap good and tight. Then just wrap till there's no more room to wrap. I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. I'm going to take these crimping pliers and go on the part there at the end with the little half circle on each side. Squish in my little burr that's left where I cut my wire off. So there. So hold on, I'll get some of my tools put up and I'll be back. Okay, there's my necklace made with some of the contents of the May 2023 Sam's Bead Box. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope you all have a great day. Take care.